Let's talk about jowls today, shall we? And how we can possibly hide them a little bit and make them less obvious so they don't drag our faces down and make us look older than we feel. It seemed like I never had any jowling issues until one day I woke up in my mid-40s and there they were. And from that point forward, they seem to fluctuate based on how much fluid I'm retaining, what I ate or drank the day before, and if I put on any weight at all, even just 5 pounds, there they are. Now my level of jowling may be more or less than yours. I just know I don't have my same sleek jawline that I once had, and I know that's a struggle a lot of us face. I'm here to help you disguise this easily and naturally on a daily basis if this is something that bothers you. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, and let's go ahead and get into this very quick, very easy way to minimize the look of your jowls if it's bothersome for you on a daily basis. Most times when we see jaw contour tutorials or demos, we see them do a long stripe of contour all the way from the chin to the ear, which looks great on camera, but it doesn't always translate well to real life. We don't need all that. While we can't get rid of our jowls completely, we can give the illusion of a sleeker jawline using the principles of shadow and light, using minimal product because dark shades recede. You can use powders or creams, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to show you my preferred products for contour, both powders and creams, here in a minute. You want to choose something that has a cool gray undertone because shadows have cool undertones. You see people contouring with bronzer a lot, and that doesn't look as natural either. So I'm going to demo here with one of my favorite powder contour products, which is in the Smashbox Cali Contour Palette. It's very easy to work with, and it's a great contour shade. There's also a deep version of this palette, and I'll be inserting the clips from when I demonstrated with a cream product for those of you who prefer creams. Before setting my face, I used the Too Faced Bronzing and Sculpting Stick in the shade Chocolate Mousse. It has a nice neutral grayish undertone and blends out really easily and also sets down. So instead of placing product from chin to ear, you want to place product only where your protrusion starts, where your sagging is, which for me today is actually looking pretty good, and it's only right here. So that's the only place I want to place product, and you want it to be slightly under your jawbone. You don't want to go on top because then it'll look pretty obvious. See how you can't see it unless I make a really weird face? I'm using both tapping and blending motions and just concentrating it to this one area. Now I'm not finished blending, but I want to go ahead and talk about brushes. Because you're placing this in such a concentrated area, brush width and density are pretty important. You want a soft brush that has some density to it, isn't too fluffy, and that's somewhat narrow so you have control. You don't want your contour to end up all over the place, and at the same time, you want your brush to be wide enough so that you don't have to spend all day blending. I'll show you some example brushes that I enjoy for both creams and powders here in a minute. So I'm basically just blending this out until I have the illusion of a sleeker jawline, and I think that we're pretty much there. Now, as I'm blending this under my chin, so it's assisting with any double chin issues that may be going on. And you can also take it under that jaw, but the important thing was we didn't have one big line we had to blend away. You're concentrating most of it where that saggy skin was and blending it out from there. So if you're happy at this point, or if you're short on time, you can stop there. Now, I think that's looking good. It's a little bit hard for me to tell on camera, but if you want to take it a step further, if you still see some correcting that's needed. Another reason why I like this palette in particular is because there's a really great matte highlighting powder in here. You can take that same brush after wiping it off on a towel and lightly dip it into this powder and tap off any excess and gently pat this powder over any areas you want to highlight or give the illusion that they're moved forward a little bit. I've found sometimes adding this powder just over this whole area right here can actually help with the overall lifting of the face. If you were using creams, you could use a lighter shade of concealer, like the one you use for your under eyes, or a lighter cream product. In my opinion, this looks a lot sleeker than when we started, and it looks sleeker than this side. So I'm gonna take care of this really quickly and come back and talk products. I like to keep my jaw in sort of a natural, relaxed state rather than tightening it up or extending my jaw so that everything looks as natural as possible. It just gives me a better perspective. Then as I'm blending it out, I'll sort of tilt back so I can see how things are blending, but I do check in periodically just to make sure that blend looks natural. Again, if you have that double chin situation, just take it under there. I'm happy with that. It looks sleeker than it did before on both sides. I feel like the line looks a little harsh because of my filming lights, how they hit me. And they also help disguise my jowls. So I'll try and show you how this looks with phone clips in regular lighting too. Another thing I've found to help reduce the look of jowls is to adjust your blush placement. I know as we get older, most of us tend to place our blush higher to help lift the face, but placing your blush a little bit lower, almost where you would place contour, helps give less empty space, less white space, if you will, to the bottom half of your face. So there's less to weight it down. This especially holds true for those of you with oblong, oval, or rectangular faces. It can just help the face not look as weighty at the bottom and gives more attention to everything else. Just something to think about. I know it can be scary. You may want to practice at home if you haven't been doing that. But it is something that I've been paying close attention to on Hollywood celebrities. I notice a lot of makeup artists do this on celebrities. They just concentrate it to about the middle of the eye and back so it doesn't weight the face down. So I don't know, something to think about. Let's talk products. These are some of my favorite cream and powder contours and brushes that I've tried and reached for regularly. And I'll start with cream contours. All of these are very easy to work with. They blend out beautifully and quickly, so they're great for using on an everyday basis. And they and the powders have a nice neutral gray undertone and mimic shadows very effectively. So I'm starting with the one you saw in the cream contour demo. This is the Too Faced Melting Bronzing and Sculpting Stick in the shade Chocolate Mousse. It works really nicely for my light medium skin tone. It's extremely creamy. It glides on my skin, blends out like a dream, and has more of a neutral undertone, so it does work well for a bronzer too. And once it sets down, it sets down. It stays in place beautifully all day. Next are these little contour sticks from Milk Makeup. I have the shade Toasted and Stoked here. I can use either shade. It just depends on whether you want a lighter or a deeper shade. I think Toasted has a little bit more of a gray undertone. These have a little bit more drag to them. They're a little bit creamier and take a little bit longer to blend out than the Too Faced. I find myself reaching for the Too Faced more now, but this is still a great product. Next, I have a nice budget-friendly option. This is the Sephora contour stick in shade Light to Medium, which has a nice neutral undertone. This glides on and blends out very easily. This is the HD Skin Essentials face palette from Makeup Forever. This is fantastic if you just want anything you need in cream product form to do your entire face. So this next swatch is this cream contour right here. This is a foolproof face palette. It's got bronzer, contour, shades to even out your skin tone, and nice sheer buildable blushes. And so that is this shade right here. It has a nice neutral gray undertone to it. And this last swatch here is from a brand I haven't even talked about on any of my platforms yet. This is from Salt New York, and it's the shade Taupe. This has such a nice creamy consistency. It's easy to work with. And even though this works great for me with my combination skin, this would be fabulous for those of you with normal to dry skin. You can customize palettes with different types of face products: foundation, concealer, blush, highlighter, bronzer, contour, kind of like I did here, or you can just do a single, however you want to work it, but it's a really great product. I used my most loved and most reached for contour powder in the demo. This is Smashbox Cali Contour Face Palette. I have hit pan once before with this contour and a few other shades. This is my second Cali Contour palette. This is a must-have in my opinion. The highlighters are beautiful, as well as all of the matte shades. I use it at home for getting ready quickly, and it's great to travel with because you can use it on your eyes and your face. I've talked about this countless times on my channel, and I do love that they launched a deeper version of this palette for those with deeper skin tones. I sort of live in fear that this is going to be discontinued at some point because I love it so much, but if you're wanting a single standalone contour powder, that's understandable too. So I have here the Sephora contour powder, which I think is really great. I have it in light medium. I also reach for this. So I have Sephora powder swatched here and the contour from Cali Contour swatched here. Another great one is is the Kevin Aquan sculpting powder. It's been popular for years, and I hit pan on several of those before I started exclusively using this. And based on the description I gave you earlier for what I look for in a jaw contouring brush for the jowl area, these are my most used and most reach for brushes. So the one that I used in the powder demo is the Sigma F64. It just targets everything perfectly, and it's not too wide or too soft and flimsy, but it's not scratchy either. It's just the right density and the right width. I also quite like BK Beauty 113 because it's narrow, but it's also got some width to it and a little bit of a taper. It's especially great if I'm in a hurry because I can quickly blend things out because of that width, but because it's narrow, it gets the jawline just so and doesn't blend contour too much this way or this way. I really enjoy this dual-ended Say brush for creams. I can use the small round tapered side for precision, but I can flip it over very easily and blend it under the chin or down the neck and use this side for bronzer too. It's just a really great brush to have in general if you use cream products. Another brush I use pretty frequently is the Chantecaille foundation and mask brush. This is actually really perfect for this area because it's narrow, but it has some width. So it just hits the jawline perfectly to keep it localized exactly where you need it. And I'm going to throw this one in here too because I do reach for this one sometimes too. This is Refer number 35. It also hits this area nicely. It's small, it's round, soft, and dense. It's a great little contouring brush for any area, even concealer. Now, I regularly use skincare and tools that help maintain the integrity and structure of my skin and keep it strong and healthy and help stimulate collagen and elastin production. And when I slack off on using those tools and devices regularly, I notice a difference all over, including the jowl area. I have to keep up using those tools and devices. And when I do, my jowls look better. You can see more on all that here, but if you are having issues or if this is a problem area, I do hope this video was helpful and informative and enjoyable in some way. If it was, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already. If you enjoy everyday beauty made easy, because that's what my channel is all about. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.